When miraculous intuition reveals divine dangers. 3 profound signs of heavenly protection. The tranquil village of Briarwood, with its twinkling lights flickering softly like countless stars above, was home to Jessica, a devoted single mother known for her unwavering faith and tireless devotion. She had dedicated her life to caring for her son, Samuel, and to guiding her community through prayer circles that praised St. Jude, the saint of lost causes. But everything began to twist in a dark direction as Samuel's health began to decline sharply. The stability of their serene existence was threatened by a chilling shadow: the mysterious disappearance of Elder Thomas, the wise man whose guiding presence was the very heart of their small congregation. As the villagers gathered, whispers of worry suffused the air. Flickering candles cast trembling shadows, heightening the fear that crept through the congregation. That's when Jessica began to sense something profound, unsettling. It was as if the very fabric of the village vibrated with hidden warnings. Images of catastrophic repercussions played in her mind. A dark figure stalking through the village, malicious whispers trailing behind every prayer. Each night, she awoke bathed in a cold sweat, clutching her son tightly as if to shield him from some unseen peril. As dusk fell one evening, an overwhelming urge compelled her to call for a candlelit vigil to seek divine guidance. The air buzzed with a palpable energy, hope mingling with dread as parishioners lit their candles, creating a flickering sea of faith. Jessica raised her voice, pleading fervently for the Lord's protection. In that moment, the air thickened, palpable with divine presence. A gasp swept through the gathered crowd, eyes wide with a shared revelation. Inspired, Jessica spoke of her unsettling vision, igniting a spark of collective resolve. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With her heart pounding, she rallied the congregation. We must unite, dear friends. Our darkness wears many faces, and together we can shine light upon the shadows. Things are amiss, and we cannot ignore it. The energy surged among them, rising like the flames of their candles, echoes of amen resonating through the night. Jitters of fear morphed into an unwavering strength, a divine unity that transcended doubt. As prayerful songs mingled with the soft rustling of leaves, Jessica felt another premonition crash against her heart like a wave. Elder Thomas' absence was not mere coincidence. Scripted plans of deceit lurked amongst pious walls, threatening not just Samuel's life, but the very soul of Briarwood. And in that sacred space, rings of hope transformed into rings of determination. What had once felt distant now pulsed urgently at her fingertips. But just as Jessica encountered the spark of clarity, an unexpected visitor emerged from the shadows, breaking the fragile silence. Breathless, he bore tidings that would shake their understanding of faith and protection. Would they unravel the hidden dangers together? Could they reclaim their church from the very darkness that sought to engulf it? With hearts still racing and faith ignited, Jessica and her community stood on the threshold of transformation, ready to face whatever awaited them in the shadowy depths. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying with it a promise of change. As the flickering candles continued to illuminate the night, a hush fell over the congregation. They turned their collective gaze toward the newcomer, a man whose gaunt features spoke of weariness and urgency. His name was Simon, a traveler who had once been part of Briarwood. Rumors of his departure suggested turmoil in his heart, but tonight, he returned as if summoned by fate. Jessica, he breathed, locking eyes with her. I've seen things I need to share. What's lurking in the shadows of our beloved village. The intensity of his gaze sparked an unspoken fear and curiosity. It felt as if the very ground beneath them trembled with anticipation. Jessica stepped forward, her heart racing as she beckoned him to continue. I journeyed far and wide, seeking a way to comprehend the darkness that came upon us, Simon stated, voice hoarse yet strong. In hidden corners of this world, I unearthed secrets about Elder Thomas. It's not simply about his disappearance. The forces at work here are far more sinister. The crowd stirred uneasily, and Jessica felt a cold tingle creep down her spine, ready to hear the revelations of their lost elder. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Elder Thomas knew too much, he began, scanning the crowd's faces. He was in touch with ancient truths, secrets that could damage those who dwell in darkness. "I saw him just before his vanishing," Simon recalled, leaning in closer. "He spoke of a shadow that threatened the light of our village. A dark entity seeking to consume our faith, our hope." Gasps erupted as prayers faltered in response to Simon's words. "When he confided in me, I took precautions to protect myself. But then he vanished. I had to return. I believed he might seek help from the church. But now I fear he has been captured by this very darkness." The weight of his revelation hung in the air, thickening the atmosphere with dread. Jessica's spirit surged, a blend of fear and faith combining in a powerful rush. "Then we must rescue him, whatever it takes," she declared, emboldened. "For the sake of all we cherish, for Samuel and this village, we cannot let fear dictate our actions." Their voices unified in fervent prayer once more, hands clasping tightly around candlelight as they invited a divine presence to blanket Briarwood. The air shimmered, and Jessica felt warmth envelope her heart like a gentle hug from above. Words mingled into a powerful tapestry of faith, weaving a shield against the sinister forces that sought to unravel their spirit. But underneath that resolve, dread whispered. Out beyond the sanctuary of their candlelit vigil, they could not predict when or how the darkness might strike. Simon, sensing the flicker of fear, continued, "We must not be deceived. Look closely, for the shadows will not reveal themselves until we ignite our faith into action." As they stood together, a profound sense of purpose ignited within the gathering, yet uncertainty loomed. Jessica resolved to dive deeper into her faith, to unravel the plans at play before them. She felt the weight of the village upon her shoulders, with every heart entrusted to her care. "Tomorrow we begin searching for Elder Thomas," she affirmed, her voice steady. "But let each family contemplate what they are willing to sacrifice for faith and truth." And just as the crowd began to murmur their agreements, a distant rumble echoed through the twilight sky. "What was that?" someone gasped, their expression shifting from resolve to anxiety. The ground beneath them began to tremble, setting their hearts racing. Was this an omen, a signal that darkness was already upon them? With uncertainty tightening like a vice, Jessica looked to the heavens. "Lord, give us strength," she cried, even as apprehension twisted in her gut. What awaited them at dawn? Would they uncover the truth before it was too late? The fervor mingled with fear, carrying them into the depths of the unknown. As dawn approached, the haunting tremors subsided, replaced by a whispering calm that filled Briarwood. The villagers, weary yet resolute, gathered with Jessica in the sanctuary, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of morning light filtering through stained glass windows. The air hung heavy with unspoken fears and fervent hopes. Jessica stood at the front, her heart pounding. "Today is the day," she declared, her voice echoing against the sacred stones. "We will search for Elder Thomas and uncover the truth. But first, let us gather our strength through prayer." The congregation sank to their knees, the rustle of fabric and soft murmurs of faith merging into a symphony of devotion. Each person poured their heart out, seeking guidance and protection. Jessica closed her eyes, feeling the pulse of prayer weaving through the room, binding them together in unwavering unity. Suddenly, a light flickered in the corner of her vision. One of the elderly women, Mrs. Hargrove, let out a gasp. "Look, the window!" she exclaimed, pointing toward the stained glass depicting the Ascension. The image of the Savior seemed to shimmer, a brilliant glow radiating from his figure. "What is that?" Simon asked, eyes wide with bewilderment. It's a sign," Jessica breathed, her heart lifting with an inexplicable warmth. "God is with us. We must trust his purpose." Encouraged, the villagers stood, their spirits rekindled. They shared nervous yet hopeful glances as they began to form small groups, each assigned to search different areas of the village. Jessica felt a sense of divine urgency within her. She turned to Simon. "Let us visit the old meadow where Elder Thomas often meditated. It might hold the key to finding him." Together, they set out, moving swiftly along the rugged paths, the sunlight casting long shadows as they ventured forward. The meadow lay just beyond the tree line, a sacred place steeped in memories. As they approached, a strange silence enveloped them, the usual sounds of chirping birds and rustling leaves eerily absent. Jessica knelt at the edge of the meadow, her eyes scanning the familiar space, searching for any signs of the elder. As she did, her heart swelled with faith. "This place holds his spirit," she whispered. "We can't give up." Simon placed a hand on her shoulder. "Focus, Jessica. We must listen to what this place tells us." In that moment, a bright flash of light erupted before them. A stag appeared, majestic and regal. Its deep, knowing eyes looked directly into Jessica's, sending a shiver down her spine. "What does this mean?" she thought, heart racing. Then the stag turned and bolted deep into the forest. "Follow it," Simon urged, sensing the urgency. They took off after the creature, their feet scarcely touching the ground. The deeper they ventured into the woods, the more the atmosphere shifted. A tangible thrill filled the air. Suddenly, the stag stopped, glancing back at them as it beckoned them to come closer. There, partially hidden by roots and foliage, was a small, ancient-looking box. Their hearts raced again as they approached cautiously. What could be inside? Jessica wondered aloud, remembering tales of sacred relics hidden from time. As she reached for the box, a flicker of doubt crept in. Is this truly meant for us? Are we prepared for what it might reveal? Just then, a voice echoed in her mind, strong and resolute, overpowering her fear. "Trust and be brave, for understanding will come to those who seek with pure hearts." The box sprang open as if on cue, revealing intricate carvings and a scroll with words that shimmered like the morning sun. "Can this guide us?" Simon murmured, eyes filled with awe. What did their discovery mean? Would it illuminate the path back to Elder Thomas, or draw them deeper into the shadows? One thing was clear. They had crossed a threshold into a truth that would forever alter their destinies. In that sacred moment, as they stood before the open box, the wind roared back to life, and with it, a shadow swept through the trees. The air crackled with raw energy, and she could sense the sinister forces lurking nearby, watching, waiting what awaited them as they unwrapped the scroll. Would they face the answers they sought, or awaken a dark threat far beyond their comprehension? The journey of faith had only just begun. As Jessica's fingers brushed the delicate texture of the scroll, an inexplicable warmth enveloped her like a comforting embrace. The air pulsed with energy, and her senses ignited. "Do you feel that?" she breathed, glancing at Simon. He nodded, awe etched on his face. The stag, still watching, seemed to orbit around them, its presence almost magnetic, drawing them toward the unfolding mystery. Determined, Jessica unfurled the scroll, and the words shimmered like pools of light. "In your darkest hour, call upon the light," she read aloud, her voice steady yet trembling. With every word, a different kind of understanding washed over her, a wave of divine assurance tethering her spirit to something far greater. "What's next?" Simon urged, eyes wide. "Trust the signs," she whispered, feeling a tingling sensation course through her veins. Could the stag be a guardian, a divine guide ushering them toward righteousness? As if on cue, the stag let out a low, reverberating call and bounded forward, deeper into the canopy of trees. Jessica and Simon exchanged glances that spoke of encouragement. "Let us follow," she said, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and hope. The path narrowed, the forest growing denser around them, shadows stretching and shifting, wrapping around them like an unwelcoming cloak. "Are we sure we're ready for this?" Simon's voice was barely above a whisper, laced with doubt. "Faith isn't about being sure all the time. It's about trusting despite uncertainty," Jessica replied, grounding herself in her own words. They pressed on, the stag leading them toward a clearing where the sunlight filtered through the trees, casting shimmering patterns on the earth. In the heart of that clearing, an ancient stone altar lay before them, worn by time yet steeped in sacred energy. Symbols adorned its surface text that seemed familiar yet foreign, sparking memories of scriptures Jessica had heard in her childhood. "This place, it feels significant," Simon said, stepping closer, his voice tinged with reverence. As he touched the stone, a pulse of energy reverberated through the air, a surge of something divine. Suddenly, whispers swirled around them, echoing faintly as if the very forest had come alive. "I hear voices," Jessica gasped, feeling it in her core. "It's as if they're urging us to listen." The stag stood still, its eyes gleaming with wisdom. Jess knew in her heart this moment was pivotal. Their task hinged on something bigger than either of them had imagined. "Elder Thomas," she murmured, letting the thought echo. The Elder's influence was felt here, woven into the very fabric of this sacred place. Whatever had happened to him, she felt, they were destined to uncover. Suddenly, the wind shifted, a rash of ominous chill crossing their skin. The sun dimmed as dark clouds began to roll in. Jessica felt the ambience twist from sacred to sinister. "We need to hurry," she urged. "There's something here, something we haven't seen yet." As Simon scanned the altar, his eyes landed on a hidden compartment, a stone slab slightly ajar. "What do you think is inside?" he asked, a tremor of anticipation in his voice. Jessica leaned closer, a mix of excitement and fear swirling within her. "Only one way to find out, but I have a feeling it may reveal truths that we are not yet prepared to face." Just then, the stag turned, and in its deep gaze, Jessica saw something unfathomable. Was it an invitation, or a warning? With shaky hands, she reached for the compartment, heart racing and senses alert. What secrets awaited them beyond the stone? Would they find the answers they sought, or unearth a reality that could shatter their faith? The deeper they delved into this mystery, the more dangerous the truth became. Would they emerge enlightened or forever changed by the revelations of the heart? As Jessica's fingers pried open the stone slab, a soft glow emanated from within. The light cascaded over their faces, illuminating the wonder in their eyes. It was as if the very essence of the forest urged them onward, whispering promises of hidden knowledge and divine truths. "Look," Simon breathed, peering into the opening. Inside, nestled like a precious secret, lay a small, ornately carved box. The patterns etched into its surface danced with energy, pulsing in time with Jessica's heartbeat. With a shared nod, they leaned closer, drawn by an invisible thread of fate. Jessica's breath caught in her throat as she reached inside the compartment and lifted the box towards the sun's dwindling rays. The moment she held it, a rush of warmth radiated through her palms, awakening something deep within her soul. Felt alive, full of stories and promises yet to be told. But even as hope soared, an undercurrent of fear thrummed in the air. The shadows seemed to deepen, encroaching upon the light. It was a reminder that not all discoveries come without a price. What if it's cursed or leads us down a path we weren't meant to tread? Simon muttered, an edge of anxiety coloring his voice. "Then we face it together," Jessica replied, determination sharpening her spirit. Faith often walks hand in hand with risk. As she unlatched the delicate clasp, the box sprang open, releasing a swirl of radiant mist. The gentle fragrance of sandalwood and myrrh brushed against them, intoxicating and serene. Inside were 3 beautifully etched stones, each one seemingly pulsating with its own divine energy. "What are they?" Simon asked, entranced. Jessica picked up the first stone, a deep azure blue, and felt an immediate connection. "This one feels like wisdom," she whispered. It was as if she could almost hear the words of ancient sages flowing through her, filling her with clarity. The second stone was a warm, golden hue swirling with light. Holding it sent waves of compassion washing over her. "This must be love, Simon." The power of connection and unity seemed to wrap around her, drawing her closer to him and everything around them. Finally, her fingers grazed the third stone, a striking crimson, and shivers raced down her spine. This one felt like the pulse of a beating heart. Strength and courage poured from it. Bravery, she proclaimed. They stood in awe, absorbing the energy that radiated from the trio of stones. Still, she felt the weight of the altar's warnings echoing in her mind. Would the revelations they experienced carry the glow of hope or the shadow of despair? Unanswered questions fluttered like restless wings in her heart. At that moment, a deafening crack of thunder jarred them back to the present. Dark clouds loomed ominously overhead, heavy and threatening. The stag, which had been patiently observing them, let out a fierce cry, cutting through the air like a divine alarm. "We need to decide, what do we do with these stones?" Jessica shouted over the wind. "Are we ready?" Simon replied, uncertainty creeping into his eyes. "What if they lead us to Elder Thomas but also bring darkness?" The forest's whispers crescendoed, filling the air with fervent pleas. Beneath the weight of destiny, they felt the gravity of their choices pressing down, binding them to a force greater than themselves. "Trust the signs," Jessica urged, drawing strength from the stones. "If we are meant to discover the truth about Elder Thomas, we need to embrace this path." With faith intertwined with trepidation, they made their choice. As they stepped away from the altar, an unexpected silence enveloped the forest, as if the world itself held its breath. With the stones clutched tightly in their hands, they felt the pulse of life radiating through them, a bridge connecting them to the mystery and wonder that awaited. The journey was only beginning. What awaited them in the shadows? Would the stones illuminate their path or plunge them deeper into uncertainty? The unfolding tapestry of their fate beckoned them forward. As the last echoes of thunder faded into the distance, Jessica and Simon took a tentative step away from the altar. The weight of the stones in their hands felt like a blessing and a burden, each one vibrating with potential. They paused, sharing a glance filled with unspoken thoughts. The forest around them was transformed. The once familiar trees whispered in hushed tones, their leaves rustling with secrets, as if they were aware of the monumental choice the couple had just made. "Do you feel that?" Simon asked, his gaze darting toward the shadowy depths of the woods. "It's like the air has shifted." "It's the energy," Jessica replied, her fingers caressing the smooth surface of the azure stone. "We're not just walking into the unknown. We're walking into our destiny." With that conviction, they ventured deeper into the embrace of towering trees. The path was narrow, winding, almost as if the forest itself was guiding them or perhaps testing their resolve. The cool breeze picked up, swirling around them, carrying faint scents of the past, a mix of earth and ancient incense. The stones glowed softly against the encroaching twilight, urging them onward. As they walked, small gusts of wind began to swirl around, almost playfully, yet laced with an undercurrent of urgency. Jessica clutched the stones closer, feeling their warmth pulse in synchrony with her heart. Suddenly, a voice, soft yet unmistakable, fluttered through the leaves, painting the air with a sense of calm. "Have faith, for the path ahead is fraught with trials that forge true character." "Did you hear that?" Simon's eyes widened, a spark of wonder igniting within. It was like the forest itself was speaking to us. "It was," Jessica confirmed, a shiver of reverence coursing through her. "The stones, they're connecting us to something bigger, something divine. We just need to listen." They pressed on, their senses sharpened, acutely aware of each rustle of the branches and each shifting shadow. Just ahead, a clearing opened up, bathed in dusk's violet hues. At its center stood a majestic willow, its long tendrils dipping gracefully into the earth as if grounding itself. A hush fell over them as they approached, captivated by the tree's eldritch beauty. Jessica felt a tug within her spirit, a calling. Without hesitation, she stepped forth, placing a hand upon the cool bark. In that moment, it was as if the world fell away. Visions swirled before her eyes. She saw flickers of light, shadows of figures hidden in time. Elder Thomas emerged in flashes, his wise countenance filled with both kindness and warning. Each scene brought clarity yet deepened the mystery. It was a reminder. They were not just seekers in the physical realm but also pilgrims of the spirit. Well, Simon whispered, breaking the sacred silence. What did you see? Jessica opened her eyes, her heart racing. Elder Thomas, he is perilously close, but so is danger. These stones, they hold the key to navigating the trials ahead. We need to trust their guidance, but we must also tread carefully. As they retreated from the willow, Jessica felt a surge of resolve. They had a purpose now, a beacon lighting their path. But even as courage filled her heart, the shadows stirred once more, echoing the pulse of uncertainty around them. The wind picked up violently, and a chilling laughter pierced the air, sending shivers down their spines. Ah, brave souls! It taunted, as if the darkness itself had become aware of their quest. Do you think you can unravel the tapestry of fate without cost? Simon gripped Jessica's shoulder, a silent question in his eyes. What price would they pay? Together, they held the stones close, steeling themselves for the unseen battles ahead. With spirits ignited, they faced onward. Would they summon the strength to unravel the mysteries that lay ahead? Or would the shadows of doubt consume them before they got the chance? The forest held both promise and peril, and as they ventured further, one thing became strikingly clear. The true journey was just beginning. The air grew thick with an electric tension as Jessica and Simon pressed deeper into the forest. Each step felt like a leap of faith, laden with the weight of their decision. The laughter that lingered in the air above them was both intoxicating and terrifying, each chuckle reverberating against their resolve. The trees swayed gently, their branches reaching out, almost as if offering sacred shelter or warning them to turn back. Jessica, Simon whispered, his voice barely audible above the whispering leaves. What if we're not prepared for the challenges ahead? Jessica turned to face him, her eyes alight with purpose. We are more prepared than we know. Remember the promise in the air? We've got the stones. They are our guide. She lifted the azure stone to the dusklit sky, watching it flicker as if responding to her call. But as they ventured further, darkness crept closer, shadows twisted into shapes that danced just outside their vision. Jessica sensed a tightening in her chest. It was fear battling faith. Stay close, she murmured, taking Simon's hand tightly in hers. The warmth of his palm brought her fleeting comfort. They picked up their pace, the path ahead becoming obscure, as if the forest was determined to obscure their way. Suddenly, the forest quieted. The wind stilled, and an eerie silence enveloped them. Jessica's heart raced, anxiety prickling at the back of her mind. The calm before the storm, she whispered, absorbing the stillness. But before the words fully settled, a low rumble echoed through the trees. A blinding flash illuminated their surroundings, and in that moment, the stone in Jessica's hand pulsed powerfully, a rhythmic heartbeat that echoed her own. Did you feel that? Simon exclaimed, eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. Yeah, Jessica breathed, feeling a swell of energy coursing through her. It felt divine, reminding her that they were not alone. It's like the stone is awakening, guiding us. As if affirming her words, the light from the stone dimmed, revealing a faint path illuminated by what looked like tiny motes of luminescence scattered across the ground. Taking a deep breath, she nodded toward the trail. This way. The moment they stepped onto the lighted path, the shadows around them retreated, whispering now in a tone that felt more like encouragement than mockery. The air crackled with potential, and for the first time that night, Jessica felt a profound sense of hope wash over her. But just as swiftly, the shadows coalesced again, forming a figure that lurked just out of reach. Jessica's heart sank as she instinctively gripped Simon's hand tighter. Fear exists to challenge faith, she thought, recalling Elder Thomas's teachings. Stand firm, she called out, her voice steadying. The figure flickered, a dark mass contorting like smoke around a flame. We will not falter. In that moment, a voice emerged from the deepening gloom, low and mocking. Faith, you think, is enough? What of the cost, child? Jessica felt the flesh beneath her skin prickling. We trust in our purpose. "Fear cannot guide us," she shouted, defiance igniting her inner strength. As if in response to their courage, the stones began to glow brighter, revealing the figure's face for just a heartbeat. It was older, wise yet twisted with malice. "You are bold, young ones. But if you're to embrace your destiny, you must face the first trial, alone." Before they could react, the figure dissolved into the air, leaving them standing in the fragile glow of their stones. Jessica felt the weight of truth settle deep within her. This was a pivotal moment. They could choose safety or face the trials of their faith. "Simon," she breathed, uncertainty mingling with determination. "What if we have to separate?" "We'll find our way back," Simon replied, his voice steady despite the encroaching shadows. "We have the stones and we have each other." As their eyes met, an unspoken bond of faith solidified between them. They took a collective breath, feeling the intensity of the moment. Could they face the trials ahead, their lives forever altered by the choices made in the sacred depths of the forest? Or would the shadows prove too great a challenge, pulling them into the darkness? The answers lay ahead, but first, they needed to venture forth alone, embracing the unknown that awaited. With that flickering light guiding them, they moved into the heart of the mystery, knowing that the path of faith is often fraught with much more than they could ever anticipate. What would they discover about themselves in this trial, and what divine truths awaited them at its end? Only time would unveil the answers. Jessica and Simon stood at the crossroads of uncertainty, the weight of their decision pressing down on them like a heavy cloak. There they were, two intertwining threads of faith, stretched thin by the looming trial ahead. As shadows encroached, she felt the pulse of the azure stone vibrate against her skin, a reminder of the light even in the thickening dark. "Jessica," Simon said softly, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. "Which way should we go? What if we're not meant to separate? We must trust the stones," she replied with a fierce determination, surprising herself with the strength of her voice. "They have guided us this far. We can't lose faith now." With one last glance shared between them, they took a deep breath and stepped onto the winding trail. It twisted further into the heart of the forest, littered with glimmers of light that danced around them, whispering softly, as if imparting secrets from an unseen presence. Each tentative step felt monumental, each footfall echoing their inner battle. In the distance, a faint light beckoned, nestled between the trees as if holding an ancient secret. Jessica felt drawn towards it, the warmth spreading through her like a soothing balm. But every step brought the unsettling sensation of eyes watching, a phantom presence lurking just beyond her line of sight. "Do you see that?" Simon pointed ahead, his voice threaded with awe. The light pulsed, rhythmic and alive. It felt like a heartbeat, synchronizing with the thrum of their own excitement and trepidation. "Yes, but," she hesitated, "something doesn't feel right." Suddenly, a whisper sliced through the silence, laden with a heavy foreboding. "You seek the truth, but truth has its price." The voice was haunting yet beautiful, echoing against the tall trees. Jessica shivered, clinging to Simon's arm. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling. Her heart raced as the shadows danced more wildly, seeming to conspire against them. "Child of faith," the voice continued, tinged with dark allure. "What is it you truly desire? The path of light or the ease of darkness?" Jessica swallowed hard, feeling the burden of choice settle deep in her chest. A flicker of doubt gnawed at her, yet she remembered Elder Thomas's words. "Faith is the anchor in the storm. It does not remove waves but steadies the ship." "We choose the light," Jessica declared, her voice firming with resolve. "We will not be swayed by fear or false promises." Just then, the shining light before them flickered, intensifying with energy. The air hummed vibrantly, resonating with their declaration. Felt like a divine response. In that moment, another flash illuminated the surroundings, unveiling a creature cloaked in shadow, its eyes glinting like shards of ice. "Face what may come," the voice echoed again. But now the shadows began to lift, revealing a path lined with what looked like flowers of pure luminescence, growing abundantly despite the gloom surrounding them. With a renewed sense of faith, Jessica turned to Simon. We need to keep going. We are close to discovering something profound. Together, they moved forward, each step illuminating more of the hidden path ahead. But Jessica couldn't shake the feeling of an unseen struggle ahead. What lay beyond this moment of light? What truth awaited them within the secrets of the forest? Challenging faith and illuminating choices loomed larger with each passing heartbeat. In that sacred, serene vibration, they pressed on united by invisible threads woven from faith and determination. The deeper they ventured, the more the forest seemed to come alive around them. Would they emerge victorious in this trial, or would hidden dangers rise to extinguish their flickering light? Only the journey ahead would reveal the divine answers. As they continued along the illuminated path, the flowers bordering their way shimmered with a gentle glow, casting ethereal light upon their faces. Jessica felt a harmonious blend of anxiety and hope as she glanced at Simon. His brow was furrowed, a silent reflection of her own fears. Do you believe we can face whatever is waiting for us? He asked, his voice steady yet laced with uncertainty. I believe we must, she replied, the azure stone resting in her palm offering a reassuring warmth. Faith is a journey, not just a destination. With each step, she felt the pulse of that truth within her. The shadows thickened as they drew nearer to the source of the light. It seemed to whisper promises of comfort and revelation. Yet with this allure, doubts clawed at the edges of their thoughts. Were they truly prepared for what lay ahead? The air grew dense, the rustle of leaves now sounding more like warnings than a mere breeze. Then the voice returned, mellifluous and deep. To walk the path of light requires surrender. Will you relinquish your fears, your doubts, your very selves for the truth that awaits? Jessica's heart raced. This felt like an invitation, but was it a trap? She sensed Simon's hesitation beside her, filling the air with unspoken questions. Surrender, but how? She whispered, her breath hitching in her throat. Your hearts, your truths. Let go of what binds you to the world. The voice beseeched, fluttering like a moth drawn to a flame. What will you sacrifice for the light? The shadows danced closer now, weaving around them like serpents. Jessica could see glimmers of silver eyes peeking from behind trunks and boughs, all keenly observing their every move. We can't, Simon protested, his voice rising. What if it demands more than we're willing to give? But Jessica felt the azure stone pulse strongly in her hand, echoing with the ancient wisdom of trust. Maybe to gain the light, we must let go of the fear of losing ourselves, she said, her voice trembling yet steady. In that moment, dimly remembered prayers surged within her, intertwining with newfound bravery. I choose to cast aside my fears, she declared, voice unwavering. I choose faith over doubt. Simon's gaze shifted, the storm of emotions giving way to something deeper, softer. And I choose with you, he choked out, his own wrestling inner demons beginning to quiet. Just then, as if acknowledging their collective commitment, the light flared brighter, revealing an arching pathway built of luminous stars, seemingly woven together by unseen hands. The energy around them felt palpable, a current of undeniable serenity flooding over them. Yet still, shadows loomed large and sinister in the corners of their vision, teasing at the edges of their enlightenment. Will you stand firm in your choice? The voice boomed again, now dripping with urgency. For it is neither simple nor easy to dwell in the light. Trials await, but my protection shall guide you. Now, emboldened by their declarations, they stepped forward, uncertainties abating but not extinguished. As they ventured deeper, one lingering question burned brightly in Jessica's heart. What must they endure to protect that divine light they embraced? What trials lay in wait, hidden behind the dazzling veil of luminous beauty? Each step stirred a growing tension, a magnetic pull toward destiny and danger entwined. With each heartbeat, they approached an unseen threshold. Would they emerge transformed, or would the shadows succeed in snuffing out their flame? In that moment of sacred vulnerability, faith wrapped around them like a protective embrace, a promise of victory over the unseen dangers that awaited. The forest whispered the secrets of courage and peril as they continued onward, hand in hand, into the unknown. What challenges would test the depths of their newfound faith? What divine lessons awaited in the heart of darkness? Jessica's spirit thrummed with anticipation and trepidation. The answer lay just beyond the next twist in their path. As Jessica and Simon ventured further into the twinkling embrace of the forest, the air thickened with potent energy, each breath igniting their spirits deeper in purpose. The luminous path seemed to stretch like a blessing before them, warm and inviting, but the shadows still lurked, shifting uneasily in their periphery. Suddenly, a chilling voice drifted through the trees, wrapping around them like smoke. "You've chosen the light, but remember, every gift has its cost," it taunted, echoing around them as if the forest itself were a live audience of skepticism. "Keep moving," Jessica urged, grasping Simon's hand tighter. There was no turning back now. They were stepping into destiny. With every stride, the stones vibrated with expectancy, and a surge of courage enveloped them, pushing them forward. Before long, they saw a flicker further down the path, a gathering of light bright enough to pierce the veil of shadow. Cautiously approaching, they uncovered a circle of ethereal figures, glowing with the warmth of divine radiance. Each one shimmered, their faces capturing both serenity and strength. At the center stood Elder Thomas, alive and glowing, yet bounding with an anguish Jessica couldn't shake off. "Elder Thomas," Jessica cried, rushing towards him but halted as bolts of energy shot through the air. The protectors shielded him, their eyes flickering with a mix of tenderness and dread. "Jessica, Simon," Thomas's voice resonated, firm yet filled with worry. "You have come far, but the road ahead is wrought with peril. Darkness desires to consume, to feed upon every doubt you possess. But we've chosen to stand firm in our faith," Simon replied, eyes wide with hope. "Faith must be tested," Thomas cautioned. "You must face 3 trials to not only save me but the very essence of Briarwood. Trust in the stones, and let their energies guide you." Jessica felt a sense of gravity in her heart, the weight of purpose heavy yet glorious. "What are these trials?" she queried, determination pulsing in her veins. "The sacred stone of wisdom, the heart of compassion, and the flame of courage await," Thomas explained. "Each trial will bring forth the shadows within you, the fears you carry. Embrace the darkness to reveal the light. Only then will you find the strength to conquer." An unseen breeze whisked through the grove, carrying an air of solemnity. Jessica and Simon's eyes locked, mutual understanding passing between them. They knew what must be done. Fears would be confronted, but faith would prevail. "Let us do this," Jessica affirmed, raising the azure stone high. "In the name of faith we will face this." As if responding to her declaration, the energy in the air sparked, revealing the first trial. A swirling mist of darkness loomed ahead, rooting them to their spot. Shadows twisted and turned, each one morphing into a reflection of their deepest fears, of loneliness, despair, and inadequacy. "You think you can defeat us?" one shadow hissed, echoing Jessica's inner doubts. "What if you fail? What if you lose everything?" Jessica took a deep breath. "You have no hold over me," she shouted, her voice steady and unwavering. "I choose faith." Simon stepped beside her. "Together," he echoed, his strength complementing hers. "We will not let fear define us." With the stones glowing fiercely, their combined energy pushed the shadows back, light fighting against darkness. The mist began to waver as they recited their faith, invoking memories of each prayer that had brought them this far. Step by step, they walked forward, reinforcing their identities against the chaos around them. Suddenly, the shadows shattered into fragments, dispersing as if afraid of the light they harnessed. The first trial was overcome. Victory surged through them, igniting a powerful sense of unity and a glimpse of their inner strength. But as they basked in this triumph, the radiance dimmed, foreboding shadows swirling again, hinting that the next trial awaited. "Next is the heart of compassion." Thomas's voice beckoned through the haze. "Be prepared, for the shadows now will tempt your love and question your loyalty. With hearts resolute yet anxious, Jessica and Simon stepped into the glimmers of gray that twisted around them. The darkness morphed into faces of loved ones. People from their lives wreathed in despair, embodying pain and loss. Is your love strong enough to hold? A voice mocked, echoing the doubts in Simon's heart. What if the ones you love forget you? What if they suffer? You're wrong, Jessica shouted, her voice slicing through the air like a sword. Love is relentless, and it carries us through. We are stronger together. We believe in compassion, Simon added, heart pounding fiercely. Love knows no bounds. With renewed defiance, they unleashed the warm embrace of their love into the shadows. Jessica envisioned Samuel, her son, his face radiant as she called forth memories of the laughter they shared, the love that grew in every moment. The shadows shimmered, faltering as compassion climbed through the air, wrapping around what was broken and uncertain. Jessica and Simon focused on the light pulsing within, softly encouraging the shadows to surrender. But will it be enough? A shadow crooned uncertainly, its tone wavering. Yes, they replied in unison, their love infusing the space, overwhelming the doubts. With newfound warmth, the shadows dispersed, revealing yet another path they had conquered the second trial. As they stood amid the remnants of that darkness, a third trial darkened in the distance. The flame of courage flickered, inviting and fearful both. It carried heavier burdens and deeper sacrifices yet to be revealed. Courage, Thomas's voice echoed, is not the absence of fear but the decision to act despite it. They took cautious steps forward, ready to face whatever awaited. Once again, the shadows morphed, forming agonizing fears and haunting glimpses of struggle, reeking of uncertainty and sorrow. Jessica felt the grip of doubt tighten around her heart. Let go of your past, echoed the shadows, revealing memories unkind, moments tinged with regret. You're not strong enough to carry this pain. Wouldn't it be easier to abandon hope? But even as self-doubt clawed at her spirit, she felt the warmth of Simon beside her, and the pulsating stones filling the air with courage. I must confront this, Jessica whispered, drawing in a shaky breath. This darkness doesn't define me. My faith does. Together, we can face anything, Simon reassured her, voice unwavering. With clarity and conviction fueling their resolve, they stepped into the swirling tempest of shadows once more. Here, they would confront their fears not as mere reflections of themselves, but as warriors of light. Together, they summoned every ounce of strength to face the fears, not with anger nor denial but with compassion and courage. Fear is an illusion, she thundered, and I will not yield. I choose hope, I choose light, I choose love. The shadows crumbled, the vibrant energy of faith cascading through the darkness that had once held them hostage. They fought, side by side, through doubt like an unquenchable fire, guided by love and unwavering faith. As the shadows dissolved, an overwhelming light engulfed them. The third trial was vanquished. Breathless yet elated, Jessica looked around, the path forward shimmering with renewed intensity. The essence of Elder Thomas shimmered beside them still, his face lit with pride. You have embraced your fears, shared your love, and illuminated your hearts. The bonds you have forged have restored not just your spirits but the very heart of Briarwood. With tear-filled eyes, Jessica felt hope swell in her soul. In each trial, they faced not just fear, but the embodiment of faith, compassion, and courage woven through their lives. They understood now that true strength emerged not from the absence of fear, but from confronting it and allowing divine light to guide them. And as they prepared to return to their village, the path before them transformed into a resplendent passage bathed in glorious light, revealing the dawn of a profound new beginning. Would revival reign in Briarwood, and would they nurture this remarkable journey within their community? They would spread the truth of their experience far and wide, igniting the spirits of others on their own journeys of faith. As the sacred winds swirled around them, Jessica and Simon moved forward, hearts ablaze, knowing their paths were intertwined forever, bound by the trials they embraced and the divine calling they answered. Step forward now, Dear friends, it's time to subscribe immediately to the channel to witness even more miraculous stories of faith that will transform your own lives. Make a powerful gesture and leave a like. This is the moment to show your support. Ignite the algorithm and spread hope like wildfire. Comment below with your reactions and testimonies about this incredible journey. We want to hear how faith has impacted you. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this divine manifestation. Only true servants of God understand just how critical it is to support this channel through these actions. Let us continue to light the path together.